Welcome to Hope's Garden and the Bridegroom Speaks podcast with Laura Ercolino.
Welcome to the Bridegroom Speaks. I'm Laura Ercolino, your host, and today I have the honor of being with Jenny duBay again, and we are continuing our discussion on Jesus the Bridegroom and his divine love song, the Song of Songs. If you've missed our past conversations, you can go back to season 3 of the Bridegroom Speaks and listen to the episodes entitled Jesus the Perfect Gentleman. Today, we are going to continue on chapter 2, looking at verse 2:14 in particular. So welcome, Jenny. It's good to be here with you again. I love our discussions of Jesus the Bridegroom and his Song of Songs, so dear to our hearts.
It's great to be here. Thank you. I can't wait to dive in again.
Well, before we pick up our conversation, I just want to help everyone to kind of take a moment, take a breath, and open our hearts to the bridegroom that he might sing over each one of us in this time. And I want to start us by hearing his song again. I just think it's so important that we read the Song of Songs aloud and that we hear it spoken as often as possible. I can't get enough of it. So I'm going to read verses 2:10 through 2:15, and I'm reading from the Jerusalem Bible translation, which is the translation that we most often use at Hope's Garden in our Song of Songs study. So let's just take a moment and settle into the abiding presence of Christ the bridegroom within our hearts as we listen to the Song of Songs, which is Solomon's, the bride. My beloved lifts up his voice. He says to me, "Come then, my love, my lovely one, come. For see, winter is past. The rains are over and gone. The flowers appear on the earth. The season of glad songs has come. The cooing of the turtle dove is heard in our land. The fig tree is forming its first figs, and the blossoming vines give out their fragrance. Come then, my love, my lovely one, come. My dove hiding in the clefts of the rock, in the coverts of the cliff. Show me your face. Let me hear your voice. For your voice is sweet, and your face is beautiful. The bridegroom. Catch the foxes for us, the little foxes that made havoc of the vineyards, for our vineyards are in flower. This is often one of the favorite passages of the Song of Songs. This is one passage that many people are familiar with. But I have a feeling that not many are familiar with the different interpretations and meanings of verse 2:14, in particular, the very first part of that verse. These are actually, the bride is speaking these words in the song, but she's repeating what she has heard her bridegroom saying to her. My dove hiding in the clefts of the rock, in the coverts of the cliff. But Jenny, would you share with our listeners the depth of meaning that I know? I've read your blogs and I know you. So I know that this verse has a lot of meaning to you and has been really central in your healing from your spousal abuse and other deep heart wounds. So would you share with us how the bridegroom has sung this verse to you?
Well, as he always says, this verse came at just the right time, just the time in my healing journey that I needed to hear it the most. And at the time that it was during the brides classes, so we were really studying it in depth. I wasn't just reading it, I was praying into it. And for me, I had spent years and years of self-isolation. And this was not anything I did on purpose. It's just when someone is in an abusive relationship, that isolation just creeps up on them. At first it's like, okay, I didn't feel comfortable going out in public with my spouse, because if I did, then I'd be accused of flirting or something like that, and so, but then I didn't want to go to my family because, a family time, for example, a holiday. I'm smiling, I'm laughing, I'm on the outside, I look wonderful, don't I? I'm so great. And on the inside, it's just a withering. And it's also, for me, it was that feeling of being a hypocrite myself. I was living with someone who was acting like a hypocrite. I didn't want that. And so I just withered inside, and I kept like withered interior in myself and then also just in my home. I was hiding. So for me, that clefts of the rock was like, I could imagine just a little me hunkered up. Like you think of a pigeon in one of their holes, and it's cold and they're all this big poof ball. They're all just like hunkered in. That's what I felt like. I'm hunkered in this cleft of the rock. And I don't want to come out. It's not safe out there. It's scary. So as I was really praying into that and hearing Jesus's voice, it's like I couldn't believe it. Like, Jesus, you're calling me? Like you see me? You can see me? Hidden away in this little cave of my imagination. I'm like, but you can see me in there and you're calling me out. And as I'm praying into that and hearing his voice telling me to come out, that he wants to hear my voice. He wants to see me. I can't say that it was instantaneous, like, oh, I'm going to leap out of this rock. Yeah, I feel safe. It wasn't. I had to pray into that and really to give to him my fear. Lots and lots and lots of fear that I had developed. I'm afraid, Jesus. I'm afraid to come out of this rock. It is safe here. It might be lonely. Yes, very. But at least I'm not going to get hurt. And slowly he spoke to my heart. He sung to my heart. He spread his fragrance over me, that warmth that I felt safe enough to. Again, I'm very visual. I imagine things, and I could just imagine him drawing me out, reaching his hand in and drawing me out. And when I came out of that rock, it wasn't I was in this unsafe world. It was I was in his arms. And that was so incredible, so healing.
I love that image of the pigeon in its little hole, the dove in the cleft of the rock, hiding, thinking that she is safer and more secure being hidden amongst those rocks. And yet, even in our hiding, that he does just like with the bride in the song, he calls to us so softly, so sweetly. And I think that, one of the things that's always struck me about this verse is the way that right from the very beginning, he calls her my mare, my dove. That even when she's in captivity, my mare harnessed to Pharaoh's chariot, or my dove hiding in the cleft of the rock, all alone and withdrawn and isolated, you're still mine. You're still mine. You are always and forever mine, my dove. And the fact that in her hiding away, like you said, it was like, you can see me, Jesus, remembering that he always is with us and he always sees us and he knows why we're afraid. And I just want to let anyone else out there who is suffering from these traumatic events in their lives, from abuse, from the deep wounding to your heart, that being afraid to be vulnerable again, being afraid even of Jesus, is normal for the abnormal things that you have been through. Like, not to beat yourself up over this. Like, this is so common and so normal. And the Lord knows. The Lord knows. And that's why he sings to the bride, keeping his distance and calling for her and waiting patiently for his dove to be ready to come out of the cleft in the rock. And one of the ways that this line really struck me and resonated with me in my own healing was that he was calling me to come out from hiding in my own broken heart, because being stuck and alone in my own brokenness was not going to heal me. That he was calling to me to come out from the cleft in the rock in my own heart and to come and hide in the cleft of the rock. As Saint Bernard of Clairvaux says, who is the rock? Our rock is Christ himself. And what is the cleft in that rock who is Christ, the wound in his side, that he allowed his side and his heart to be pierced open to create a cleft that his doves might come and safely hide within. And it's that when we press our broken hearts into his, that's where we find healing. When we take our gaze away from our own broken heart and turn it to his that was broken to save us, that's when the real healing can begin.
Yeah, that's when, I had this image. It was during this time there because my heart did feel completely shattered, completely broken. And I said to Jesus, I said, how are you going to fix this? It is broken. And what I saw was him pasting my heart together with his precious blood. So then I had here's this heart, but now it's expanded because he fixed it with his blood. Yeah, that was really something that started to really fill me with that peace that I needed, that peace that replaced that fear that I was living in.
Yeah, it gave you that safety and security to know that it was okay and to come out of hiding and to go instead and nestle within him, hide within his sacred heart. That's such a beautiful image. The image that I had that was similar was when I was doing my therapeutic art. And I made my heart out of red construction paper and then cut it into a million little puzzle pieces because I felt like it was just like shattered. And that same idea came to me in prayer that it was his love was the only thing that could repair my heart. It was his love that was going to put it back together. And so I used extreme glitter Mod Podge to glue the pieces back together on a larger piece of paper. And no matter how hard I tried, I could not get it to fit back together perfectly. There's gaps in it. And as I looked at it, as I created this, I thought, well, it's through my wounds, it's through my cracks that now his light and his love can pour forth. Just as you said, it's in being wounded and allowing him to heal us that our hearts expand. Now that the actual heart is bigger than it was before on that piece of paper. And that space now where his love can shine out. That's beautiful. It just always astounds me how he speaks to us and how similar the healing is, even though it's also very particular to each one of us.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And another thing too, though, that really strikes me about this verse is that, I was feeling really ugly, not just physically ugly, yes, but then just spiritually, emotionally ugly. I don't want anybody to see me. And again, that was the physical as well as the spiritual, all across. I just felt ugly. And reading, come then, my love, my love. He says to me, my love, come then, my love, my lovely one, come. My lovely one. Just that right there, that struck me. That's how he sees me.
Mm-hmm.
So it is safe to go out and let the sun
Yes.
shine on my face to be seen. It's safe now to be seen. And I am black but beautiful. Going back to the other line, it's like, okay, maybe I do have these wounds, but that's okay. That doesn't make me ugly. That makes me his lovely one. And that's amazing.
And that woundedness, our woundedness just elicits his compassion. I mean, that's why he came, was to heal us and to save us, right? And so it's silencing that voice of shame in us that tells us we can't let God see us. We can't let Jesus see us like this. We have to fix ourselves first. That's just a lie. Number one, we can't fix ourselves. Number two, he's always gazing upon us. If he wasn't gazing upon us in love, we would cease to exist. So we know that he's gazing upon us in love. And three, it's his love that heals us. It's his gaze. As we've talked about before, that it's the all transforming gaze of the bridegroom, that gaze of love that heals us and restores us to the original beauty that is ours because we're made in his image and likeness. So it's so powerful that he sings this verse over every one of us. If you can imagine that if we could actually hear him with our ears, we would hear the Song of Songs playing in the air in every moment, right? That he is singing this song of love over us and this invitation to come out of hiding in our own broken hearts and instead come and rest in the cleft in his side and let his precious blood pour over us and heal us. Like this invitation to show him our face and to let him hear our voices. Like this is a continual invitation from the bridegroom. In every moment, he's inviting us to this.
As you were saying that, I just had this image of, flowers all of a sudden blooming and grass growing, and well, it is the spring in chapter 2.
Yes.
But it's like the sound of creation. His song of songs is what makes nature grow. What makes all of the world, not just us, but all of the world
All of the
thrive.
world. Yes. Yes, that's St. John of the Cross's spiritual canticle.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Another thing that really strikes me about the clefts of the rock and it being the side of Christ, that safe place of, just being in his, instead of being in our interior selves, being in him, but then also taking it a step further, but going back to the very first line of the Song of Songs. So it's like, this song is just, it's like on a loop. It's just
Yep. Yes.
no real order, but it made me think of St. Catherine of Siena's teaching of Christ as the bridge. And so what she taught was, we start at the feet of Christ. And that's when we are at that stage where we love Jesus and we want to love him more, but it's still kind of a mercenary love where like, I'm sorry for my sins because I'm going to go to hell or be punished or whatever the case may be, thinking that I really need to get closer to Christ so that I don't get, it's more of a punishment sort of thing. But then when we grow in our spirituality and we see the love of Jesus and we go up, then that's when we reach up into his heart and we just dwell there and we develop our prayer life. We develop that life with him, the heart to heart talk. And it's a progression. You have to go from the feet to his heart, but then from his heart, that's when you reach up to his mouth, she teaches. So that's when you kiss him with the kisses of his mouth, when you have allowed your soul to really have that heart to heart communication, that heart to heart prayer with him. It's like another one of St. Catherine's mystical experiences with that exchange of hearts with Christ. It's like we need to really be allow him into us to such a degree that our heart transforms into his. And then again, it's like a magnet, we have to reach up and kiss him with the kisses of our mouth. Yeah.
Receive the kisses of his mouth. Yes. It was really a lot of St. Catherine of Siena's teachings on the side wound of Christ. She also teaches about that being the cleft in the rock in the Song of Songs, and that being the opening from which it's like a tunnel, a channel that we need to pass through to get to his heart. And it's through the wound in his side then that we are covered by his precious blood. She had such a devotion to his precious blood. And so that has been a prayer of mine since I started reading the Song of Songs and coming to understand through the teachings of the saints the meanings of these verses. It's been a prayer of mine to ask Mother Mary a lot of days when I'm, when my illness is flaring up or I'm just so exhausted, and I will ask Mary to please lift me up, that I don't even have the energy to reach to get to his wounded side, to the cleft in the rock, but would she please lay me there? And just using, again, like you said, that imagination, that imaginative prayer, really entering into the vision in the script that the scriptures give us. I mean, the Song of Songs is so visual, so sensual in that it is an experience of our senses. It uses sense language, right? And so asking Mary to lift me into the cleft in his side and imagining, that I am his little dove and he has prepared this little nest, this soft, safe place in the wound in his side, where when I am tired, when I'm ill, that I can lay there and just allow his precious blood to flow over and in and through me and permeate me and heal me and restore me. And when I am just desiring intimacy with him, that I can enter through that cleft in the rock and to go right into his heart. That, this is intimacy, right? Into me see. And so he has allowed his body to be pierced open so that we have, like Catherine of Siena says, this tunnel, this channel that we can enter right into his heart. Like, this is what he desires. He desires for us to actually see into his heart, to know God, as it says in the Old Testament in several places, Jeremiah, Hosea, that God will betroth himself to us and we will know God, that we will have this intimacy with him. And all this happens through the cleft in the rock. Like, it's amazing. And it's not even the whole verse, right? It's just one part of verse 214 of the Song of Songs. But I think you could meditate on verse 214 for a very long time, never run out of writings of the saints, of other scriptures that it relates to, of our own experiences in healing and in prayer and coming to know Christ as our bridegroom. I mean, and there's just so much.
Yes, especially, the clefts of the rock. That's a really good meditation for after Eucharist. And when we receive the Eucharist, that is that ultimate intimacy. And he is in us, like literally, he is. So just really focusing on that one line after receiving the Eucharist, for me at least, is very powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is when we receive the Eucharist that our prayer at the beginning of the song that we keep coming back to, let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth. Like, the Eucharist is God's response to the bride. It's his answer to her prayer, to the desire of her heart to be one with her God. It is fulfilled in the Eucharist. And then in that kiss, he comes to dwell in the clefts of our hearts. He comes to dwell right within us and to allow his very being, his name that is oil poured out, to penetrate into all those cracks, all those clefts, to heal us, to soothe us, to comfort us, to transform our hearts, to give us a heart of flesh, right? As he says in Ezekiel, it's through the Eucharist, through that nuptial union with our bridegroom.
What a great and immense gift. I mean, it's just, I don't have any words. Sometimes you just run out of words.
Yes, you do. And so I would just, I'm just thinking as, I'll just tell our listeners that every time Jenny and I get together to do one of these episodes, we say, oh, well, we'll talk about 214 and 215 and we'll get to the foxes. And today we really were hoping to get to show me your face and let me hear your voice, because we have so much we want to tell you about our experience praying with that part of verse 214. So we have not even yet made it to 215, but I hope that our conversations, even though we never seem to get as far along in the song as we tell you at the beginning of the episode that we will, I hope that it's giving all of you much food for thought, lots to take to prayer and to pondering, and that it just increases that longing and desire and curiosity and wonder in your heart to get to know Jesus, the bridegroom, and his song. That it's not about racing through to come to head knowledge of what these verses have come to mean in theology or in biblical theology, but what it means to you, like what the bridegroom wants to sing to you. As you hear Jenny and I talk about the different ways that these verses have been sung to us by the bridegroom and how they've helped our hearts to heal, I hope you can see that there's not one right or wrong. This is very personal and intimate. And I just welcome your sharing with us as you listen to these episodes, and then you take the time. I mean, that's our real desire, is that it will make you want to sit with the bridegroom and pray with the song. And I just want to welcome your sharing and your comments on how the song is resonating with your heart. How is the bridegroom singing over you now? So please feel free to comment in the comment section of the podcast, or to email me at laura@hopesgarden.com, and we will share with the listeners your insights, or not. You can let me know. But I don't know about you, Jenny, but it just makes my heart sing even more when I hear other people's stories of how the bridegroom is singing to them and healing their hearts through his divine love song.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the beauty too of just reading it, like you were saying, there's no right or wrong translation. It's in our heart, but then it does also change. Like there's no like, so for example, I was saying how, I was imagining that cleft of the rock as my isolation. Well, I'm not in that place in my life anymore. So now when I read that, it has he opens up another meaning that's right for me at this moment. And that's again the beauty of our bridegroom's words and how that going back to what you said before, Laura, that continuous song, that
Yes.
continuous and ever new.
Ever new, ever ancient, ever new song of the bridegroom.
Thank you for listening. Come and encounter the love of Christ the bridegroom and learn more about God's divine love song, the Song of Songs, at our website, hopesgarden.com.